Hey guys, hope you're doing well. I was finally able to get one of the bucket list items I've always wanted for this car, the Tesla style screen from Phoenix Automotive. This thing is awesome. It really modernizes and upgrades the interior while also keeping a lot of the factory equipment, basically making it about as plug and play as you can get without actually being like entirely plug and play, but for a massive screen, it's kind of what you'd expect. The downside though is that with so much information that it's taking, there is a decent amount of room for error. However, there's one issue revolving around these units that is paramount to all the rest. Now, just a little disclaimer, this video is in no way, shape, or form intended to bash or put down Phoenix Automotive. I think the units are really cool, and I know they put a lot of work into them, especially making them as close to plug and play as they are. Definitely not an easy feat. It's really just that putting all this information together isn't gonna paint them in the best light, but I'm just trying to look out for you guys, make sure you guys are accounted for, because all the information I'm gonna be putting forth in this video was really just stuff that I was looking for whenever I was dealing with the initial install of my unit, stuff that wasn't really working and stuff that I just needed to actually dig in to find out. So with that, every helpful link that I'm going to be referencing is going to be in the description box down below, so everything can be nice and condensed in as easy of a way to access it as possible. I also just realized the Impala and sugar-free Red Bull have the same color scheme. Maybe that's why I love them so much. Now, when you order one of these units, you're gonna get the screen, you're gonna get a harness, and you're going to get a bracket, which is occasionally needed, sometimes it isn't. But the one thing that it does not come with is an instruction manual, which is by design. They do have a YouTube channel where they are relatively active on there, and they post install videos as well as how to do simple fixes for possible issues that might come up. Which is a good scenario to be in because you do get a hands-on visual of what you're specifically trying to do, and then it helps them out as well because they get views and engagement. The downside though is that a lot of the information is relatively generalized, and I at least feel that there's a good amount of discrepancies between the videos that they post and the actual situation you might be in. While it does give you somewhat of a guideline, it can be a little different. So specifically for my Fusion, I have a 2014 Ford Fusion with Sync 2, but that's just kind of a very small section of the spectrum for the different trim levels and different options in that vehicle, because you can have Sync 1, Sync 2, Sync 3, you can have the 4-inch screen, the 8-inch screen, auto AC, manual AC, the pre-facelift, post-facelift. There's a lot of different variables in there, not so much of one size fits all. And then with that, I also found that there were some discrepancies between the units in the videos and then the unit that I was actually sent. Well, both units that I was sent, because I was actually sent two. To my best assumption, it was just an updated version of the unit, but I couldn't get any confirmation on that. Now with their YouTube channel, they do also have an FAQ on their website, which does give you a good amount of information on there, but I kind of find it's the same thing. It's relatively generalized. Now, if something's going wrong with your unit and they don't have a fix on their YouTube channel or the FAQ, this is when you need to contact them, and that is where the biggest issue with Phoenix Automotive lies. Their customer service is not the best. I do want to make a distinction because there's a lot of different aspects to customer service. If you need to set up an exchange or just get a straight up refund, usually you can do that pretty casually. That's not necessarily super out of the realm of possibility, but their response time, and with that, their actual intent to have a conversation with you and make sure everything is accounted for, is not the best. And to give you a little bit of perspective, I got my unit in early September, and I had an issue with the AC. In the back and forth dialogue with Phoenix Automotive and trying to get everything figured out, and again, just kind of the delayed responses that I was getting from them, I only got it finally installed to completion mid-December. Like for the AC controls, it's actually not blowing cold air. Then I kind of cut through everything. I found that there's 3 ways that are more ideal in getting in contact with them that I actually had a little bit more success with. The first one is to book an appointment with a tech, which is an option that they do have on their website, where basically you can just get a little video call or a phone call, and you can have a Phoenix Automotive representative kind of talk to you and walk you through what might be going on and whatnot. This definitely helps because just as much as you need information from them on what to do, they need information from you on the specifics of your unit, current software that it has, the extent of the issue that you're experiencing, because again, these units do a lot, so there's a lot of different variables at play here, and getting somewhat of a diagnosis from them definitely helped me out in the overall process. And I'll get a little bit more to the specifics in a second. But the second way is to message them on Facebook Messenger, basically going to their business page and just sending them a message on there. It's going to be a business chat, so it's not going to be like you're just randomly messaging somebody. This helps out a ton because you get to condense all the information down, have it all just easily accessible. So say you have a video, you can actually just send a video just straight there in the chat, as opposed to having it be like a link or a drive file, whatever it may be. This makes it a lot easier, for sure. I am also in a couple Facebook groups for these units, just for updates and whatnot. And it does seem like there's a general consensus that this is a better way to get in contact with them because the response time isn't very long. I've seen anywhere from like 30 minutes, a couple hours, to as short as like less than 5 minutes. Granted, not going to say that's going to be the same scenario for you, but it does help out just having it a little bit more handy for just you as well as them. There also appears to be some sort of easier way for them to transfer that information to the manufacturer and just go back and forth between different departments that might need it. Because I was actually referred to this chat specifically through one of the tech appointments that I had, and that was going to be a way for it to be passed along to the manufacturer. I don't know if it's necessarily streamlined or anything, but it does definitely help out in just kind of getting all the information across. Now, the third way is probably just the most expected, I guess, and that's just to call them in all honesty, because I find that there's a little bit of a delay in just the information that might be coming across versus what they're saying. And obviously it's not to like pester them or nudge them along. If they need more time working on your issue, they need more time. It's kind of pretty simple to understand. But this is more just for a level of accountability, it feels like, because one issue that I actually had was I did not actually get the bracket initially whenever I ordered the kit. This is just something that can be a very casual oversight, which this bracket, it's nothing special. It's just something very specific. It's a small little piece of metal. It's probably only a few bucks worth, and it can be shipped in literally an envelope. Whenever I emailed them about it, I didn't really get a response on it. It seemed like they were kind of picking specific things to respond to, and that was not one of them. But in actually calling them and just telling them, hey, I never got the bracket. I still need that to actually be able to install it. In a sense, you're kind of putting them on the spot, but you did also pay for that bracket. It's part of the kit, and I'm sure it's less than $10 to get it shipped basically anywhere in the US because it is so small. But the intent of the phone call is really just to make sure that everybody is on the same page, because there are times where they'll tell you that it's going to take 24 hours to get a response on a specific issue. If it takes more time, that's completely fine. It's really just that you don't want it to be something that ends up just kind of falling between the cracks. You just want to make sure everything is accounted for. And to give you a little bit more perspective on the ins and outs of messing with this unit, I ordered my first unit towards the end of 2022. I ordered it with the intent of it being that last cool mod before Fusion Flood. However, at the time, they were dealing with supply chain issues, which seems to be a little bit more of a consistent thing, which obviously not the best scenario to be in, but I understand it. Really can't blame anybody for that. However, they were kind of refusing to give me any information or actual updates on what was going on with the unit, which whenever you're spending, $600 to $800 on one of these things, it's not the most comforting scenario to be in. And so basically I had to pry information out of them, just kind of ask like, hey, just can I get an update on the unit? Can I get an update on the unit? And I would just get told it'd be about another 2 to 3 weeks, which figured, okay, time frame came and went, and I got no responses, and it became a pretty vicious cycle. And it got to the point where I told them, hey, definitely understand what's going on. I would, at this point, just like to cancel my order. I'll reach out again in a few months. Hopefully supply chain issues are not a thing in the near future. And they're very understanding, got a refund and everything, which is why I say certain aspects of the customer service are pretty casual or more run-of-the-mill, I guess, if you want to call it that, because it wasn't really a big ordeal. They never sent out the unit, so all they had to do was cancel the order. Now, this past August, I believe, I reached out to them again, just saying like, hey, if I were to put in an order, how long would it take to actually show up? And I got the very uninspiring response of about 2 to 3 weeks if there's no supply chain issues. Not the most ideal thing to hear after, having been in that situation prior. So just did some digging on their website, and I found that they actually have open box specials, which I was definitely drawn into because 1, it would guarantee me that the unit was made, and 2, you're actually saving about $100, which is a pretty good deal because open box special just means that the unit has been opened, possibly tested, but never actually installed. Otherwise, that would qualify as used. So I put that order in, and then they send you a little Google form that basically has questions on the specifics of your vehicle to make sure they have all the proper harnesses and adapters to make everything work as it should. I didn't get a response up until I reached out to them again, just asking if they got the information, and they said yes, they got it. And then I got a notification that it was being shipped out the next day. So that was all good. Little ironic that I felt like I had to reach out to them, but it also might have just been a coincidence at this point. Now, I was going about the install, and I even made an Instagram story post because I was looking for a little bit more help on how to install it because, again, no instruction manual. And I was able to get everything installed. Everything seemed to be checking out just fine. However, the AC was not functioning properly. And, early September in Texas, it's still pretty hot, and you need your AC to drive around. Sorry, Jose. So since the AC wasn't working, I dug through their YouTube channel trying to see if there's a fix on it or on the FAQ. The only thing that I found was changing the vehicle type, because what I did find out is the unit basically has to identify the type of vehicle. So if it's identifying it as the wrong vehicle, not everything's going to work. So I reached out to Phoenix Automotive through email, and this is kind of whenever it started getting a little bit more obvious that the customer service experience was not going to be ideal, but I went in just relatively optimistic because I was pretty impressed with the screen. And I believe I was in contact with someone from China based on the signature and the fact that I was getting responses at like 3 to 5 in the morning. Now, just in the general back and forth, they asked if I could make a video actually showcasing what was going on and post it to YouTube as an unlisted video so they could pass around the link, I'm assuming between different departments or possibly manufacturer. So I did that, sent it to them, and kind of got a little bit of back and forth going. The only thing was that time frame that said they're going to be out of office came, so I wasn't getting any responses. But at this point, because it was an AC issue, I had swapped back to my old unit just so that I could actually drive the car. I go out of town all the time. If there's a holiday, I don't want to be around work at all. So I definitely understood, and I didn't really think too much of it. The only downside was the date that it said that they would be back by came and went, and I got no response. So I reached out to them again, and I got no response. This is whenever I got a little bit more concerned, so I kind of did some more digging on the website, and that's where I found that you could actually book an appointment with a tech, which I figured would be a lot more helpful because you're actually going to get a little bit more specific diagnostics, possibly what's going on. Because the main downside with not having an instruction manual, at least in my eyes, is that you're not getting an understanding of how the unit works or specific aspects of the unit. So if there's something going wrong, rather than it being a fix that tells you like, hey, this is what's going wrong, this is how you fix it, it's more just telling you to change a setting or adjust whatever might be going on in certain aspects of the unit. So you're not getting an understanding of how the unit works. So in following that link to book an appointment, it asks for your order number as well as if it's an even or an odd number, which I'm under the assumption that's just a way that they separate the work. I really don't know, but they do ask that. Then on the next page, it asks for the specifics of the unit, stuff that might be going on and whatnot. And it also has an area so that you can upload photos of the current update that you have, as well as a video of the issue that's going on with a little breakdown just written out. I also had the video that I made for the email conversation, and so I just uploaded that as well because that had all the information explained as best as I could, as well as being somewhat decently edited. And then further down, it actually has a few options for how you want them to contact you. One of them is Google Meet, which says that it's their preferred, which I selected because I figure if it's easier for them, it's probably going to be easier for me. And if you're unfamiliar with Google Meet, it's basically just Google's video call app. So you can basically just download the app on your phone and just have it be done on your phone. Really no big deal about it. And it also asks for you to select a time frame for them to contact you. Now, when you submit all the information, you're going to get 2 emails. One of them is going to be just a little confirmation telling you like, hey, this is a confirmation for your meeting at whatever time frame, and then some things that might be helpful to have handy for your actual meeting. And then the second email is just a link to the Google Meet meeting, or whatever you want to call it, which I imagine if it's a different way that they're going to contact you, it's probably going to be a different email or possibly even not an email. But if you're doing that route, it's 2 emails. Now, I had set the meeting for the following day at 2. However, I got a phone call 40 minutes early, so I just told them like, hey, just give me a sec. I'm swapping the unit back in so I can show you guys what's actually going on. And just made small talk for the most part. So we got to talking, went over to the video call, and the downside here is that he did not seem to have any familiarity with the issue I was experiencing, which kind of took away the validity of the actual form that you're submitting. I kind of had to walk him through everything. But this is also the good side of why I say the tech appointments are pretty valuable, because I was able to get him up to speed in like less than 2 minutes, just because he's very specifically seeing what's going on, and he could ask questions like, hey, go to this setting, go to this thing. Wants to make sure that everything is understood and he has all the information he needs, because again, they need information from you just as much as you need information from them. I was told that he believed it was a software issue, so that he was going to send me an update file as well as a video link on how to actually update the unit, which was one of the USB ports that they send you with the kits. You do need a pretty specific flash drive to do it though, so just a little disclaimer there. He told me he was going to send it in about 5 minutes after the call and to let him know if it works. So got the update, went through everything, and unfortunately it did not work. So I responded to him letting him know it did not work, and I got no response, which not ideal. But I figured, we can just do it again tomorrow. So I set up another appointment the following day. And ironically, I finally get a response leading up to that little window. And we're going back and forth, and he tells me if I can pass along the information to the Facebook Messenger. Which at this point, this was the 5th time I was actually going through what was going wrong, because I had written it in emails, I had to make the video, I had to write it in the form for the actual tech appointment, and then I had to explain it in the actual tech appointment meeting itself. Got pretty demeaning pretty quickly. But thankfully, they did respond pretty quickly on that, so I felt a little bit more accounted for, which definitely helped out. And they basically told me they were going to pass it along to the manufacturer, and I'd get a response in about 24 hours. Now 24 hours comes and goes, and I get no response, so I decide, just get a little phone call, just get an update, make sure things are still on track, and it's not some super large issue. And they tell me, yeah, it's all good, that they are working on it, but it's going to be, 24 to 48 hours, which, I wasn't really digging too far into it because at this point the weekend was coming up and I had already swapped back to the old unit. And so I figured at this point they have all the information I could possibly give them. So however long it takes is however long it takes. However, what ended up happening was the screen would no longer turn on. It was just a constant black screen, and it wasn't even getting power because, whenever it's like a black screen and the screen's on and it's just like a different shade of black, it was not that. It just dead screen the entire way. And doing some digging, turns out that that's actually a hardware issue, not a software issue. And I found that out when I did get a response from them about a week later, which just kind of killed all the momentum for sure. And they just kind of told me like, hey, you can set up a return, an exchange, or a refund. And I was at this point very invested in the unit, so I just wanted to get an exchange, which was a very easy process. And this was actually one of the highlights of the customer service experience, because it was super easy. All that they do is they send you a shipping label, and with that you just slap it on the box, take it to the UPS store, they take care of it, and you're good to go. The good thing is, whenever I got that unit and it was all installed and everything had been working, and it seemed like all the issues had been accounted for. Now looking back, I can't say that this was a specific issue, but this actually was a possible fix for it, because the unit that I got initially, which I don't know if you guys can tell from the video, but I'm actually going back and forth between two units. One of them has an AC board already built into the unit, whereas the replacement unit did not have the AC board, because you're supposed to reuse your factory AC board, and that way it can just transfer all the AC controls. And it is to the point where I tried to dissect the initial unit and see if I could remove it, but it was already secured into position and it had the proper ports and everything. And again, the AC was reading, it just wasn't working properly, so I can't say that that was the issue specifically. That is something that I brought up to them, but did not really seem to register for them. But using my own AC board, that cleared all the issues. And I know the reviews on these things can be pretty polarizing. Some people saying like they went through 3 different units and none of them worked properly, so they don't even have it in their car. Versus other people saying they got one unit and years later down the road, still working just fine. So far with this new unit, everything seems to be working good. Knock on wood that everything is gonna stay good. But from my experience, it definitely feels like it's one of those situations where you just kind of gotta work with it up until you get it working as it should. Because with it working as it should, it's probably the best head unit you can get for that vehicle. So hopefully this can give you a little bit of an understanding of some of the situations you might come into with these units, as well as how to fix them, as well as why the video was so delayed, because I announced that video a long time ago. Like, I'll put the date here, I can't think of it off the top of my head. The last thing for the interior is I did order a Tesla screen from Phoenix Automotive. A little teaser for an upcoming video. I am currently working on the Tesla screen install, and I actually showed it in a few videos, but it only just finally got fully installed. There was also a span of about 5 days where I was pretty screwed, because the unit was sent out and UPS actually outsourced it to the local post office to be delivered, and they delivered it to the wrong house. And for those few days, I was sore out of luck. But thankfully, the very nice lady who had it delivered to her house followed the address, and it was able to get to me. So I want to give a big shout out to that lady, because she could have very easily just taken the screen, ran with it, and posted it on Facebook Marketplace. That'd be the end of it. But thankfully, screen is here and everything is working as it should. But that's going to do it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your week, and I will see you in the next one.